One of the big, huge things for me when I first started hearing about this understanding is that thoughts are neutral unless you do something with them. So whatever thoughts come into my head, wherever it is that they come from, if I don't act upon them, they have absolutely no power. And I think I shared the story that evening when I was walking on the cliff and a friend was walking in front of me, and it's about 50, 60 meters down and there's no railing, and I walked not out to the cliff but close enough to feel that. But still, I remembered so clearly the thought, I wonder what would happen if I jumped over. That's it, I walked away. And I didn't think any more of it that day at all. But this is what Sydney was pointing to. I had a thought, but it meant absolutely nothing because I did nothing with it. I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry myself that is there something wrong with me for having this, in my world at that time, slightly strange thought at the moment, because we all have them.
Yeah.
We all have what we turn into negative thoughts or weird thoughts. I can have a thought that, okay, I'm going to do a bank robbery because I really need that 10 grand and I have it all planned in my head, but I'll do nothing with it. Then I haven't done anything. I've done nothing except acknowledging the thoughts that I've had, but I've not acted on them. And to me, understanding and knowing, just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's reality, doesn't mean that it's going to happen or not happen. It just means it's in my head. And your head will be filled with different thoughts than mine. Won't be the same, even though we watch the same film.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'm thinking, get out of my head. Get out of my head. A lot of thoughts come and go, and I realize with time that we are like antennas catching thoughts, and we could either act on them or not. If we don't act them, they just move by, and we're still the same. So when you poke to that feeling or that thought and really start scratching it, you engage with it, and you play this game with it, and actually it is that engaging with the thought that creates the next thought and the next thought that makes worse. I think.
Yeah, you're saying when you're poking it and you're scratching, then you're bringing it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You battle with it. I see it like a battle. You battle with it. Yeah.
And even that, we can battle with it and still not. We're still okay.
Yeah.
We can still, because I think we'll all, I mean, I guess I can only speak for myself. I still have conversations in my head about stuff, and I can have negative thinking going on. I can have judgment going on in my head and feel frustrated with myself that I have this going on. But if I can see it for what it is, that it's just me in this moment, just having a bit of a down day, then I can leave room for just letting it be without acting on it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so you talk to yourself, you tell yourself that you have a bad mood today, or?
Yeah, it's not that I actually tell myself that, it's just like I'm observing that that's what's happening. It's just my mood that's a bit rubbish today.
Yeah.
Which is the same as when I feel nervous or when I feel love or excited. It comes from the same source. It doesn't come from anywhere different. It just got a different texture and a different feeling to it.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean that it comes from the same source?
So the understanding that I have and what I share is that the life source that's behind all life, behind trees growing, flowers turning into tulips rather than roses, my heart's beating, my blood's pumping without me having to do anything. That all comes from the same place, this life energy, if you like. It's the same place the negative thoughts come from. It's the same place that loves come from, because everything in how I see it is made of love. but it all comes from the same place. I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
So it is the same burning fire inside of you, that core that gives energy to the whole body, or to the whole. It is the same thing.
I think you can say
it is
that.
the same core that is the energy. Like this is the energy where everything springs out of.
Yeah. I was reading, a friend of mine have written a beautiful book called Pouring of Love, and I've been reading her book, which is filled with beautiful poems, and it's expressing love. And I realized when I read that everything comes from the same place, which is why when we have love or when we have hate or when we have, it's all the same. We just make it different.
Yeah.
I know I find it difficult to express because it's more like a feeling than, it's more like a feeling and a knowing than, it's not up here.
No.
It's not intellectual. It's like an essence of life.
Yeah. It's really, really difficult to explain feelings with words.
Yes.
Because those are just symbols of something that we try to describe. It's really tough. I feel it's really tough to explain with words. And words are not rich enough to explain the feelings. Like, especially, how do you explain why do you love someone? Tell me that you love me in words, like, oh wow.
And it's so true. You used, what word was you just using? Not rich enough. And yet that is all we have,
Yeah.
isn't it? And we do the best to convey a message, and we do the best that we can to ensure that somebody understands it. But what other people understand of what we're saying, we don't know, because that's not in our hands.